Alrighty, let's do this. So, any questions about anything so far? Okay. So we are in week 12, and week 12 I don't have anything new to tell you as far as this class is concerned, except new topics at least, except this final exam slash project. Yeah, it's a final program. So the final program, I'm assigning it a little bit earlier because it's worth lots of points, and you might as well get it over with earlier. And it has to do a lot with the things that you've had to do already. Just a bunch of different functions. There's 10 different functions, not very hard. You're going to make an array of 25 random numbers. I make it easy. So it's fixed number 25, and each of the numbers inside of the array are going to be between 3 to 7. You're supposed to use your randint function, which you've seen me do a couple of times already, and I think you've had to write it already yourself. And then once you make the array, you're supposed to have functions to makes the generate program. Okay, so these are all going to be functions. Okay, has functions to do the following. Okay, so all these are going to be functions. So one function to show the array in its original order, one to show it in reverse, one to show the lowest value, one to show the highest value, one to show the sum, one to show the average, one to count how many times a certain number appears, the number 5. The difference between the first and the last element, and then show all the elements of the array before a specific index. So let's say you have an array of 25, right? And you say, all right, I want to show everything before 14, index 14. So you're going to show from 0 through 13. And then that's it, okay? So these are the functions. That's all you have to do. Not a very hard at all thing to do if you've done all of them already. And if you haven't, you still have time to do whatever's missing, and that'll prepare you for this thing here. Okay? So any questions on this? No? Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing that I want to tell you, and I'm pretty much gonna keep it really short today, is there is going to be, I probably mentioned it, a tour for IBM. We're going to be touring IBM. It's going to be me, the dean of our department, the vice president of the college is going to go with us. So how many of you are interested in going?
When is that?
When?
Yeah.
Good question. It's a tentative, it's around, it's going to be like the beginning of February. It's a while. Yeah, it's not this semester. Yeah, I thought it would be this semester, but it's actually next semester. So, would you be interested?
Yeah.
How many of you? So you're going to be interested. Raise your hand if you're interested. You're not interested? How about you, sir? No? Okay, fine. So we have 2 people here. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll put like a little survey. It's a good thing to do if you want to network. There's going to be actual people who work in IBM who tell you what they're looking for, what kind of skills they want from our students, and then after that tour, we're going to maybe offer some of these classes that they want us to offer to prepare students. And it's the idea is IBM has this like new collar initiative. Basically, they want students who are trained in the skills that they need so that they can just hire you without even having a degree. Okay? So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll probably set up some kind of a little survey and email it to all my students so that I have like your information, your email, and if you want to join, there's going to be a cap of I think 40. So we have there's lots of room left still if you're interested. Yeah. So that's the main thing. Other than the final project, Man, that's pretty much all I have. Do you have any questions about any previous assignments? Anything at all? Anything I covered? No?
Oh, find the size of an array. Can you dock to it if you have the array outside the function and try to find the size of it in a function? Because I tried to do that and it didn't.
Yeah,
work
you
out.
cannot find the size of the array inside of a function. You have to find it before you send it into the function. That's why a lot of these arrays and functions that we had to do here, you would see that they all have a size as a parameter. And the reason for that is because you can't find the size of the array inside of the function. Yeah, it's just the limitations of the language itself. Okay, if we're talking about another language like Java or Python or some other ones, you could find the size of the array inside of the function. But in C++, because we're dealing with pointers, and the reason why we cannot find the size of the array is because we're not sending the entire array. We're sending only a pointer to the beginning of the array, and it doesn't really know where it ends, right? So the way you tell it where it ends is with the size parameter.
Because every time I thought it just had 2 elements.
Yep. Yeah. You will not be able to find the size of the array inside of a function. So I've tried it too. It doesn't work. Okay. Good question. Any other questions? Anything at all? Okay. So just a quick preview for what's coming. We have after this week. So this week you have enough time to finish the final project, and then after that we have to talk about files, input and output. Basically, all the input and output we've had to do so far is from the keyboard and on the in the command line or inside of C line. If you're working with C line, right, the output is shown down there. When we start talking about files, you're going to see that now we can output the information from the program into an actual file, and we can also read the information from a file instead of having the user type in a bunch of things. So that's going to be next. Then week 14, we're going to talk about structures. Structures are a way for you to basically bundle up a bunch of variables into some kind of an entity or thing, right? So let's say if I wanted to have, some kind of a, logical grouping of things, right? So maybe I want to have like a structure called table, right? Well, the table might have some kind of properties like weight and width and height, that kind of things, right? So structures are ways for us to logically group different kinds of variables together into some kind of a thing. And then the next step after that is classes and object-oriented programming. And classes are basically like structures, but instead of just grouping variables together into some kind of a logical thing, we can group variables and functions into a logical thing. And object-oriented programming is a pretty big deal. I don't talk about it a whole lot in this class because for me it's more important that you master all these fundamentals like selection and repetition and functions. If you master those, in my opinion, classes and objects are a lot easier to digest. And there's lots of other classes out there that you will have to encounter classes and deal with classes. So the next course after this, which is the CSIS46, talks extensively about classes and object-oriented programming. So we're going to hammer that, quite a bit when you get to the next class. If you want more practice with classes and objects, I recommend you take my Java class. Right? I also teach Java here. And Java is very similar to this class, except actually the assignments are a little bit lighter. And you basically start with classes from day one, right? So if you really want to be comfortable with classes and object-oriented programming, take the Java class before you take the CSIS46. Not that you can't take CSIS46 after this, but I would recommend that you take 45 first if you have the time, unless you want to just like go through this as quick as possible, which you can. All right, take this 45 first, then take the Java class, then take the 46, and then you can even take 27, which is the data structures with Java. Okay? And there's also Python in there if you haven't taken my Python class. It's excellent. even if I say so myself. Okay. Java also talks about GUIs, graphical user interfaces, like windows and buttons and checkboxes and text boxes and all kinds of different things. You know, the visual elements that you can click on and interact with that we did not really talk about in this class at all, because C++ is really not meant for, you know, visual things. There's there's a C#, there's Visual Basic. You know, there's other languages out there that are better, you know, better suited for. There's also Visual C++, languages that are meant for graphical user interfaces. Not that you can't make one with C++, but it's just a pain. There's a lot easier ways to do it with Java or Python or, you know, Visual Basic or C# and some of these other languages. Okay. C++ is more for, you know, if you're going to write your own operating system, if you want to have, you know, some kind of a program that runs really quick, right? Does not rely on an interpreter. You can just run the program, but once it's compiled, the executable file is just usable. That's where C++ comes in, right? In fact, Linux, for example, is largely built on the C language. C and C++ are pretty much the same, you know, same thing. C++ is the, you know, the more modern version of C, but same things are in there, just minor differences. In C++, there's more libraries. Some things are simplified, but it's pretty much the same syntax. Also, since I'm, you know, showing you the Java, you know, thing, Java is a language that was kind of built upon the syntax of C++, right? So if you know this, if you have taken this class, if you know C++, then you're going to be very good at Java, or you're going to have a much easier time with Java. You can start with Java also. You don't have to start with C++, but, you know, that's that. Okay. So yeah, there's lots of stuff in there. In fact, this Java class, if you take it, will pretty much prepare you for. There's this Oracle certification that you can take. And if you take it, you're likely to find, you know, if you pass it, you're likely to be able to find a job without even having a degree. As long as you have your Oracle certification with Java, you can say, hey, look, I got this, and then most likely they'll hire you. Just having that. Okay. Well, of course, you have to pass the interview. All right. So that's the other thing that I want to tell you, and that's about all I have. Do you have any questions? Going once? Going twice? 3 times? 3.5? We're good? Positive? Okay. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, let me know. Send me your emails. Come see me in the office hour. I'll head there right now. Unless you want to stay here, I can stay here too. Yeah. So if you have fallen behind, that's why I kind of left this week a little bit lighter so you can catch up. And there's going to be a little bit more time to catch up, but we're pretty much, you know, the semester is almost over, right? We have like about a month left. Okay, last couple of weeks don't really count because last week is a finals week, right? Just be sure that your assignments are turned in by December 16th. Okay, not after that. I'm not going to grade anything after December 16th. Okay, so if you want your stuff graded and regraded, if you want to use the the courtesy regrade that I offer, make sure you turn your assignments before the last 3 weeks. Okay, the closer it gets to the final, the less likely I am to regrade things. In fact, I'm not sure if I put it in there about a regrade stuff. Yeah, no, I don't have it. Well, basically, I have thought about it in the past about basically saying that I'm not going to regrade things for the last couple of weeks, but since I didn't put it in writing, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So that's all I have. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll help you out. Okay? Come on.